So we're here in Copenhagen now, and I know that the last time I talked to you about vibrato, I said that in the next talk we would talk about how to combine all the different speeds and widths and everything. But then I got distracted and started to talk about the stuff that I keep in my cello case, and then there was that little talk about the difference between great playing and really good playing. So forgive me if I digress sometimes, but if I always did exactly what I said I was going to do, it wouldn't be as much fun. If you look back to talk 19, which is called Du bist die Ruhe, the name of the Schubert song that Dietrich Fischer-Dieskau sings so beautifully, then you may already know why this video or this talk is titled 80, 90, and 103. And that's because these three speeds and also widths of vibrato that I pinpointed in that song are what we're going to work on right now. But before we go right to the vibrato, I wanted to revisit one little item that I had in my cello case, and I also talked about when I talked about the things I have in my place to practice, and that's the timer. And well, here it is right here. This is a 4-minute timer that I bought in a Starbucks, and it's 4 minutes because it so happens that Starbucks thinks that that's the time that you should wait when you have a French coffee press and you pour the hot water in, and then you should wait 4 minutes and then push the plunger down to make the coffee. 4 minutes is a nice amount of time to practice anything, and it actually can seem like an eternity if you do one thing consistently for this long. It's a simple gadget that will just keep you focused on one problem or one technique. So I would recommend get yourself a 4-minute timer or a 5-minute timer, 3-minute timer. It doesn't really matter. You can use your phone sometimes. People use all kinds of things. This is very easy because you punch one button. So I have this around, and we're going to start with let's start with the number in the middle, the 90 metronome number. And I have it all set here. And you remember, if you watch the talk 19 again, that the first sound you hear in that beautiful song, that the vibrato we measured is at 90 for 4 oscillations. If you listen very carefully, of course, to what he's doing, they're all a little bit different speeds, and some of them are a little slower, a little wider, more intense, but they are all within this 90 range and this beautiful color. So the first thing to do is, and also remember that they were not too wide. It's not your maximum width by any means. So the first thing to do is to set your 4-minute timer. Remember the talks we had on consistency between the fingers, and if you haven't really worked on that till now, this is going to be really difficult because we're going to start to use different fingers to replicate this melody, and you have to be able to have consistency of width and speed between each finger. So set your 4-minute timer, set your metronome, and start practicing. 4 minutes, up and down a scale, anything you want. Also, remember too that this music was relatively quiet and calm. This is probably about a mezzo piano dynamic, really not more. So we're within a certain musical range, certain parameters here are in play, and let's keep it right there. Okay, so then the next one to go is, let's go up to the climax of the song, and if you remember, the climax, where the vibrato is almost a half step wide, was a slower vibrato speed, down about 79, but for now let's call it 80. And so now we're going to practice the big wide vibrato at 80. Different. Notice I'm also playing loud. Set your timer for 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, or 3 minutes, and maintain this consistency of speed. And now we're going to go to one that's probably the most difficult, at least it is for me. And that was the final number, which was 103. And that was for a very, very brief but intimate and intense moment towards the end of the song, where it goes right here. And this speed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's very fast. Because it's so fast, it's almost impossible to do very wide, and that might sound really silly. This is a kind of vibrato that has to be warmed up for. It's almost impossible to do it just right out of the starting gate if your arm is cold. But practice those 3 vibratos, those with the metronome. Put your timer on for 3, 4, 5 minutes or something. Force yourself to do it. And when we come back the next time, we're going to look at how we can apply those 3 specific speeds to other music, not to the Schubert song, but even perhaps to parts of the cello repertoire. These speeds are just, they're 3 numbers. They happen to represent areas of vibrato speed and color and sound. It's all, of course, variable and changeable. If you really listen to that song, in the Schubert song, you'll hear all kinds of different speeds. But these are benchmarks, and they're numbers that we can use to train ourselves to gain that kind of range. And I think if you can get this going and really start to master it and feel comfortable with it, you're going to start to have a lot of fun with this vibrato study.